There is one presence and one power in the church, in our lives, and in the universe. God, good, omnipotent. And the five unity principles. Number one, God is absolute good, everywhere present. 2, God lives in us, therefore we are inherently good. 3, we are co-creators of God and create our experiences through our thoughts. 4, prayer is creative thinking that heightens our connection with the God mind. 5, it is not enough to simply know these principles. We must live with the truth we know. Thank you. Let's all turn to our first hymn, page number 2, the Lord's Prayer. Please stand.
This is our time of meditation, where we go into the silence, where we move all things to the side, where we close the door and go apart a while, and go within. So I invite you, wherever you're seated, however you're seated, to get comfortable and move into the depths of consciousness. Whatever thoughts you were entertaining before, whatever you have been experiencing up until this moment in time, I invite you to bless it. Bless it. Know that it serves a purpose. And allow it to be. As you move into an expansive space that is within. More expansive than any experience in the external. divinity that lives within, always within. This is where we can bring forth anything that puzzles us, that we question. This is where we can contemplate and reflect and experience a deep inner presence, wisdom, and knowing that transcends all understanding. The space within is where all questions are answered, where anxiety is met with peace. So I invite you to go within and experience an entire world that beckons, that waits for the light of your awareness, that is calling, that is ready for you to experience it. And by that very experience, are we transformed? Are we lifted up? Indeed, entire worlds live within you. Innate abilities that we have not yet discovered await our discovery. Innate ways of seeing, ways of understanding are in this space. That create understanding when we are in the external. That connect the dots. That bring forth new realizations, epiphanies. I invite you to experience your limitless nature, your infinite nature. Where you allow the finite mind to go within and experience the infinite and be transformed and be renewed. Regenerative principles that can reshape and redefine and reframe anything that we are dealing with. So in these gentle moments, these peaceful moments, I invite you to contemplate what is there for you to discover. What is waiting for you ideas are ready to be uncovered by your awareness in this innermost space of your divinity, in the depths of consciousness, where we are one with all that there is. So be still. Be at peace. Be still and know. Know that you need not do anything. Let the words "I need do nothing" resonate in consciousness. For I simply am. I am one with spirits. I am divine. And I can do all things through spirit. There is nothing I cannot be or do. I need only tap into my highest self, and it is possible. The way is made clear. I need not know the how. I need only set intention and trust and have faith, and it is done. My faith can move mountains. My faith can overcome any situation, any circumstance, anything that I'm dealing with. These things shrink as my consciousness expands, and the way is made clear. So I invite you to feel gratitude. Feel gratitude for your infinite, unlimited nature. Feel gratitude for every experience, knowing that every experience serves a purpose that brings you one step closer to your highest potential, beyond what you can possibly imagine right now. That the universe is on your side, that it conspires for you. And no matter what you are dealing with, all things in the universe work together for you. So I invite you to feel that gratitude, that everything is working for you, that nothing can hinder a divine being. Absolutely nothing. Allow your minds to contemplate this. I invite you to reflect on this. Allow your imagination to explore this. Allow yourself to contextualize, what does this mean for you? From where you are in consciousness and what you are dealing with right now. So as we are preparing to in this time of meditation, I invite my brothers and sisters to join with me. For in truth, all minds are joined. All minds are already joined. Join with me in intention as I align myself with spirit to deliver this message. As I move my personality out of the way, it does not serve me here to deliver this message. And join me in gratitude that all prayers are answered. As soon as we set the intention, all prayers are answered. It is already done in the mind of spirit. So we feel this gratitude in the name and after the loving nature of this divine unlimited presence that lives within us. And so it is. Amen. Amen. All right, so we have the choir. Is going to be singing a beautiful song for us. So, the name of my talk is Recognition, Disrupting the Loop. Recognition. Recognition is like a light bulb going off in a dark room and revealing that which was hidden. It's like an epiphany. It's like a suddenly coming into consciousness. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, a recognition. And why do I say disrupting the loop? I like to get creative with my titles. Because we do live in a loop, or it can be a loop, when we are not aware that we are creating this loop, this movie. It seems like, it's just basically just something that's autonomous, that's just going, and we're just, just going about it. But in truth, we're the ones that are creating this movie. We're the ones that are creating this loop. And so, you see, when we forget about that, when we begin to interact with people, thinking that they are responsible for our thoughts, it kind of locks us into that loop where we don't know that this is our loop. We don't know that this is our movie. So we are really the ones that are producing this movie, but we think that we're just in there watching the movie, eating on some popcorn. When we are literally producing it. And so, the first thing I'd like to discuss in this, and what actually contributes to this, is when we allow our mind to go on autopilot, where it is just basically, the mind is just naturally creative, you see? It naturally creates, it automatically creates, it creates. That's the one thing that we don't have any control over. Our mind is going to create. So if you are not being mindful as far as what you are creating, then what is going to happen is that things are going to seem like bedlam. Like it's just like everything is just happening and things like that, and you're not going to feel like you have any control, any power, when you actually all power lives within you. But it just seems that way when you allow your mind to go on autopilot, when you are not really in those thoughts, when you are not focusing on what's actually impacting your experiences. See, there are constructs that are behind your experiences at all times. Constructs, our own constructs, that are behind our experiences. Indeed, you can have two people that go through the exact same event or situation. And because they have different constructs, they are going to experience different things. This is important to remind ourselves of, because we all of us, there's nobody that's not in this. We all do mind wandering. All of us. We go through events, and then we experience them. And then we get happy or sad or angry or joyful. But we're not looking at what's actually behind the emotion, you see? Now maybe we might look at what's behind the emotion when we're upset. As a matter of fact, there are many of us who are beginning to do that. We're beginning to look at, what's behind the experience when we're upset. But we don't typically do it when we're happy. We typically think, oh, hey, everything is perfect now because I'm happy, because I'm getting my serotonin. So that's what this talk is about. Because see, a mind that is this way is not free, brothers and sisters. It's not. A mind that is this way is a slave. And it is its own enslaver. It has created its own prison. So, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 5, verses 11 through 14, it reads, "For this, there is much to say that is difficult to explain, for you have become dull in understanding. For though you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you the basic elements of the oracles of spirit. You need milk, not solid food. For everyone who lives on milk, still being an infant, is unskilled in right-minded thinking. But solid food is for the mature, for those who have trained their mental faculties through practice to distinguish between right-minded thinking and error." That's a lot. That's a lot right there. Yeah. Now, in the book of Hebrews, I must point out, first of all, that this was not a Jewish audience. Even though it says Hebrews, this was not a Jewish audience, this was a Greek audience. So still in the first century, though. Towards the end of the first century, the legendary Christians, the first generation Christians that they sung songs about, they were gone at this point. These legendary Christians, who stood up for and many times died for what they believed in, they weren't around anymore. This is a new generation of Christians. And this new generation of Christians didn't have to go through the same thing that the original Christians had to go through, that the followers of the way, which then became the original Christians, had to go through. This new generation of Christians, they experienced their version of persecution, which was basically like a public shaming, where people would, ridicule and mock them and say, "Oh, little Christians over there," things like that. And so they found themselves dissociating with the unpopular group, dissociating with the new Christians, with the second generation Christians. So they were, in effect, worried about what somebody else thought about them. Sound familiar? Okay. So when it was talking about you become dull in understanding, you see, when we're in fear, when we allow ourselves to be in fear, we dumb ourselves down. We do. We definitely dumb ourselves down. And we make ourselves susceptible to all sorts of things. Indeed, marketing companies are figuring out new ways, to be able to use us as products, as consumers, and keeping us in this fearful state, finding out ways to embed us with fear so that we will be more susceptible to buy their products. Governments attempt to find out ways to keep us in fear so that, we won't question things, so that things will go over a little bit more easily. Indeed, there's a lot of fear-mongering in our society right now. We find ourselves bickering with our brothers and sisters, being divided, but we have no power, we have no voice. There's only power in unity. This was also talking about right-minded thinking. So what is right-minded thinking? Well, right-minded thinking is the very tenet of unity principle number 3. Our thoughts create our experiences. It is our thoughts that create our experience, not what somebody else thinks. It is our thoughts that create our experiences, not what this person said about you, not what you think happened. Yes, there is, for example, it does rain on us all, you see. But how we interpret that rain is subjective, you see. Where someone might take off their shoes and run through the rain, joyfully. Another person might be angry and feel a different experience, you see. Two completely different experiences, but it rains on us all, you see. So we are co-creators in this. Yes, maybe we didn't create the rain per se, you see, but our experience of the rain, we did create that, you see, co-creators, you see. We are co-creators. No one can tell you how to experience anything. How you experience things are entirely up to you. And so this is what this talk is about. Because see, when we want to stay in the idea that there's someone else who is responsible for my thinking, we have no power. We have no power at that point. You see, it is only in knowing that we are the ones that's actually creating this experience that we have, even if we want to change it or anything like that. If you want to change it, then change your thoughts. Change your thoughts about it. So this talk is about that. It is a talk about the very constructs that go into our experience. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into the constructs. So what actually goes into our experience? Well, when we experience things, underneath that experience, before we even have the experience, there is an idea, an expectation of what is supposed to happen, what is supposed to be. Now this changes based on how we feel about ourselves, you see. So if we feel, for example, if we have a low sense of self-esteem, and we don't feel very good about ourselves, we're going to have a very low tolerance at that point, you see. We're actually looking and counting straws, as far as straws to break the camel's back. We're counting them at this point, you see. So it's like one final straw, and that can just set us off, you see, at this point. Where someone who has a high sense of self-esteem, you see, they go through the very same thing, the very same experience as this person who had a low sense of self-esteem. And this person sees it and experiences it completely differently. Even possibly looks at it as an opportunity. As an opportunity. As a challenge. Not a problem. As a challenge, an opportunity. And guess what? Challenges is how we grow. And may even have gratitude for this challenge, you see? Because see, when we don't have challenges, we don't grow. That's just all there is to it. If we don't have challenges, we don't grow. Period. So this person may actually see it that way. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much for testing me, for pushing me. I'm so grateful. I'm stepping into new realizations because of what I'm experiencing. Thank you. Thank you. While this other person may have a whole completely different thing to say, you see? The person who's coming from a low sense of self-esteem. So, see, that is part of the construct, you see, that goes into the experience. Then we have an emotion. We have an emotion based on the variance between what actually happened and our bandwidth. Our bandwidth is what we can tolerate at that point. So we have a certain bandwidth. And if it exceeds that bandwidth, what we can tolerate, then we usually experience an emotion that is on the negative side of things. Do your research. I mean, this doesn't sound like, it's being very creative at this point. It just sounds like you're just being reactive, like a pinball machine or something. Like you're just reacting to things. That doesn't seem like you're, a master creator, and that you're creating all of your experience. You live this being. That doesn't sound like a limitless being to me. That sounds like a victim. You see? So it depends on where your consciousness is what it talks about in unity, but for in today's standard, because your consciousness is actually hinges on your self-esteem. On whether you feel good about yourself or not. Let's just keep things real simple. The better you feel about yourself, the higher your consciousness is. Period. The better capacity you have for learning, the better capacity you have for growing, Because you're interpreting different things. You're not interpreting like something's wrong. No, nothing's wrong. You're just being challenged. You're just being tested, you see? And so you're not interpreting the same thing that perhaps someone who's coming from a low sense of self-esteem is interpreting, because their constructs are somewhat different, because they don't feel very good about themselves right now. And you know something? We've all been there. We've all been there. We've been in those places, those high places where we felt very good, and we've been in those low places where we didn't. And we know that things did not impact us the same way when we were in those high spaces as they did when we were in those low places. We know that. We know that. But see, when we're not mindful of that, you see, and we forget about that, and we just go and just go through the movie and not realizing that, yes, we are still creating this movie. And so, see, as long as you're aware that you are the one that's actually creating the movie, see, now you can make a different choice. You see, then you can be more proactive in the type of movie that you're creating at that point. Then you can just be like a director, well, cut. No, we're going to do something different now. We're going to do some different thoughts. Hey, apparently these thoughts aren't doing it. We're going to take some different thoughts right about now. No. Cut. Okay, so we're going to take the ticket from part 2, and we're going to go ahead and, You have this power. You have this power. I went to Houston last month and experienced something really interesting. So I was flying to Houston, and so it's just like a 40-minute flight, And so the plane was, I could tell, my eyes were closed, I could tell the plane was, going into the final moments of being about to land. I'm expecting at any point that it's going to hit the touchdown on the thing. Next thing you know, the engines revved up, and the plane started taking off again. So we didn't land. So I opened my eyes at that point. What's going on? I didn't think anything was wrong. Well, maybe I did think like there was a little something wrong, but I didn't think like, it was necessarily a bad thing. I was just like, okay, maybe, we're landing in the wrong places. I don't know, but anyhow. So then eventually the pilot got on and he said that there was an incident that happened just before we landed on that airstrip. Okay, an incident with 2 planes. And one plane was landing, another plane got on the runway. It was unauthorized and moved into the runway. And so the wings clipped. And so there was like debris, all over the runway. And so they weren't going to, they shut down Hobby Airport. They just shut it down, okay? And so we were flying around, and so the pilot said, well, we're going to go ahead and go to George Bush, which is the other airport in Houston, and, because we need some fuel. So that's a good idea. Let's go to George Bush and get on the ground. Okay. All right, so we went to George Bush. So we landed, but we didn't have any gates. You see, I was on Southwest, and so they only had 3 gates at George Bush. And so, Southwest can't use anybody else's gate, so we had to wait for hours. But you know something? I had a choice, but I sat there with my neighbors. We started a conversation. We were talking about things. We didn't even share what our names were. The person on my right, she was from Arizona. The person on my left, she was talking about she was going to have to catch an Uber over to Hobby because that's where our car was parked and stuff like that. But we're just laughing and talking and stuff like that. Time going by. We sat on the airport for about 3 hours. And my partner, Claudia, is like, okay, what's going on? I was like, well, I don't know if they're going to take us back to Hobby. I have no idea what's going on. Just sit tight, So we're still sitting there. Finally, they say, okay, we finally got a gate. I'm going to let you out. And so we finally got out. This is about 7 o'clock now. Now, keep in mind, we were landing at 3. All right, so this is 7 in the evening now. But it was a real high conversation. And we weren't really worried about about it. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, if we had a magic wand, yeah, get me off this plane. But at the same time, it really wasn't a big deal. It could have been a whole lot worse, you see. You know, maybe we could have been involved in something a whole lot worse as far as landing in Hobby Airport. But after we got off the plane, and I got my luggage and everything, the next day, when I actually looked at the news article, I found out that only 4 flights had been diverted to George Bush. The other flights, they went to Austin. People had to go spend the night in Austin. They went to, some other places and stuff like that. But only 4 flights of a diverted flight. So mine was one of those flights. And so then later on, I got an apology from Southwest, and they sent me a $200 travel voucher and stuff like that. So I was able to buy another ticket, So I was like, I don't have to spend it. Hey, this is great. I'm not coming out of my pocket. I can, buy my next flight and everything. So, but I could have interpreted all of this differently, you see. I could have interpreted all of this differently. It was completely up to me to interpret how I chose to interpret every single thing. I could have been in an upset mood, something's wrong, I'm upset, I don't like this and stuff. I would never fly this airlines again, you see? I could have been that way. I could have chose that route. But no, actually, this was really huge. So I think I'm gonna share this on my next time I speak. I think I'm gonna do this. And so that's what I'm doing. But it depends on it depends on you and your constructs and your idea of what it's actually supposed to be. You see? Whatever happens, just understand this. Whatever happens serves a purpose. It serves some kind of purpose, and it's not for you to figure out what the purpose is. But how do you interpret it, you see? How do you interpret the experience, you see? Because let me say this. The only person that's going to be negatively impacted by the negative interpretations is you. That's it. So how do we do this? So how do we disrupt this loop that we sometimes find ourselves in, where when we are just allowing things to go on autopilot and autopilot? How do we disrupt that? Okay, so the first thing I'd like to say is it takes a mindset where you actually have to be willing to accept responsibility for everything that you experience in your life. That's the first thing. You have to be willing to accept that these are your thoughts, period. These are your thoughts that create your experience and the places that you find yourself in life. That's one thing it takes, is a mindset to be willing to do that, because if you're not willing to do that, you're going to find yourself just being in this perpetual loop. And this perpetual loop is like a hamster wheel, where you're just running on this hamster wheel, you never get out. Where everything is just about, reacting to things and stuff like that. Just a hamster wheel. That's all it is. It's a perpetual loop. It's a perpetual movie. Just sit back and grab yourself some popcorn and just watch whatever else is about to come on. What's next? And then suddenly, So, okay. That's the first thing it takes, is a mindset. The next thing it takes, I've said this before, it takes meditation and gratitude. It takes a combination of the two. Meditation and gratitude. Meditation, first of all, we take our thoughts for granted because we're the ones who are thinking them, Many of our thoughts, though, if you were to really be able to just see the thought by itself, and really see it, you would surprise yourself. If you were to be able to actually see your thought and you would think, what am I thinking? Yeah. So meditation is the only thing that makes that possible, you see? That is the only thing that makes that possible, for you to actually begin to slow things down. We actually have to, we can shut off all of the senses and all of the other distractions in the loop, in the movie, so that you can actually look at the thoughts that are actually creating it. So that you can actually take a look at the thoughts when they come by you now in real time, you see. They just will casually come across your mind like a cloud, where you can actually, whoa, I've been thinking that? Oh my God. And see, then you can begin to change it. See, you can begin to do things about it. You can begin to say affirmations and denials. I denied that. No, this will not have any power and control on me. I affirm that I am beautiful. I am whole. I am a perfect divine being. But you won't find or you won't know what's underneath the surface until you actually take time for yourself, to be able to witness these things. And I'm not saying that as soon as you meditate, if you haven't meditated in 5 years, that as soon as you meditate, that you're all going to, no. It's going to be a gradual thing. It'll be a gradual thing. Gradually you get this one thought. You can work on it. Gradually you get another thought. And it's going to be little pieces here and there. That's how it's going to work. But you're going to see what thoughts that you've been thinking, and you can do something about it. Gratitude, and I say this so many times, I'll get back to meditation first of all. Meditation, once more, is how we harmonize, because that's how we harmonize our thoughts. That's how we monitor our thoughts, and that's how we modify our thoughts if necessary. Meditation is the only way to do that. Gratitude is how we raise consciousness. When you begin to say what you're grateful for, you are developing an appreciation for the things in your world. But what you're not aware of is you're actually developing an appreciation for yourself, because anything in your external world is just an outpicturing or just a mental outpicturing of things that you think about yourself. So when you're giving gratitude for the things that are happening in your world, you're actually giving gratitude for aspects of your own consciousness. And you're gradually raising consciousness. You're gradually raising your consciousness. So the things that you may be dealing with in life, the things that you may be experiencing, certain things may have you perplexed, certain things may have you puzzled, those things will begin to shrink as your consciousness is raised. As you become a larger person, a larger being, and seeing that you are way bigger than this little bitty thing that you thought was like this huge thing, it just begins to shrink in comparison. Where now, that eventually, you get to the point where you're laughing at it. I used to think that way. That's funny. Oh my God. That's a trip. Oh my God, Stephen, you are funny. You are funny. Yeah, you begin to laugh. Your consciousness begins to grow so much. You begin to learn so much about yourself. Oh my God, I used to think that. Wow. Gratitude is how you do that. The next thing it takes is to take a look at why you're happy. Take a look at why you're sad. Now, normally, sometimes we'll take a look at why we're sad, because, we don't want to be sad, you see. But I say also take a look at why you're happy, because, see, you could be happy just because things are going your way. You could be happy, and even though, you're looking at yourself from a small consciousness, because, for example, you didn't experience any growth, you see? So you're happy now. I want you to think about that. You didn't experience all that. Nothing happened, so I'm happy. You see? You understand what I'm saying? And so what you're doing is you're secretly programming yourself to be angry when something does happen, when there is a challenge that you experience. You see, you're not happy, you see? Because you're secretly programming yourself with this, this is what happiness looks like. That's what you're doing. So take a look at it. Take a look at why. I'm not saying don't be happy, but put it in the right context. Understand why you are happy, you see? Don't fool yourself into thinking that this is just the greatest kind of happiness, you see? Understand, I'm happy, but I didn't learn anything today. At least take it in the right context, you see? So that way you're not fooling yourself. And so that way you also won't be triggered when you feel the polar opposite, when you are being stretched, when you are being tested, when you are being challenged, and you're thinking, something's wrong now, you see? These things are very important. We program ourselves. Yes, there is external programming that, when we were indoctrinated in this culture, but we also program ourselves as well. When our elder brother, Wayshaw, and master teacher, Rabbi Yeshua ben Joseph, who many of us know as Jesus, he was talking about there's a kingdom of heaven. He was going through the same thing that everybody else was going through. He was going through the same thing that everybody else was going through. They were occupied. It's not like he wasn't in this, occupied territory. We got this foreign government in his land, basically just trying to tell him how to live his life. And you know, he had the same feelings that other people felt, his brothers and sisters felt, you see? But he didn't see it that way, you see? The constructs that were going into his experience were of a high caliber, were of a high nature, a high consciousness. And so he talked about it being the kingdom of heaven. So yes, I'm saying right now, no matter what you're going through right now, you can experience the kingdom of heaven right here, right now, based on your consciousness, based on the constructs that are going on in your consciousness, based on what you are thinking. But you got to take control of it, you see? You gotta know what's going into your thoughts. And not just be in that movie, eating popcorn. And the last thing I say, you guys heard me do this, trust in spirit. If you don't know, ask spirit. Spirit is the invisible part of you. Spirit is not some separate something. We're not talking about some alien entity or something. We're talking about you. Spirit is the invisible you. And this is the highest part of you. If you are not tapping into spirit, you're not getting it. You are not getting it. Okay? And you're not gonna get it until you start tapping into spirit. Until you start tapping into the part of you that can do all things, you see? See, the personality has to step back and allow spirit to lead. You know? Spirit is not some trying to control you, it's not some kind of external force. No, this is you trying to guide you. The highest part of you trying to guide the finite you. The infinite you trying to guide the finite you. That's what spirit is. Everybody with me? All right, it's kind of quiet in here. All right, okay. It's kind of early or something? Okay. So I got an affirmation for everybody. All right, here we go. Okay. These are 5 statements. The first statement, I want everybody to repeat after me. I totally appreciate and approve of myself in every way. That don't sound like y'all really believe it. Can y'all say that one more time? I totally appreciate and approve of myself in every way.
I totally appreciate and approve of myself in every way.
All right. Number 2, I accept every experience in my life as a path to growth and development.
I accept every experience in my life as a path to growth and development.
Number 3, I accept responsibility for the results in my life.
I accept responsibility for the results in my life.
Number 4, I allow myself to be myself in all things I do.
I allow myself to be myself in all things that I do.
Number 5, I monitor my thoughts, words, and feelings because I know they are creating my life.
I monitor my thoughts.
One more time. One more time. All right, one more time. Okay. I monitor my thoughts, words, and feelings.
I monitor my thoughts, words, and feelings
Because I know they are creating my life.
because I know they are creating my life.
Brothers and sisters, you are a limitless being, but the only way that you're going to experience being a limitless being is if you step into your power. You are a creator. This is what being an infinite creator is all about. And as you begin to step into this power of being an infinite creator, you will see new realization that you haven't even experienced before. You will be able to experience a compassion for your brothers and sisters because now you will be coming from a place of knowing where you actually know who you are. You actually know yourself. And you will come from an intimate understanding of knowing yourself. And you will know your beauty. And because you do that, you will see the same in your brothers and sisters. Now, everybody, go and be that light that your Father, Mother, God intended for you to be. Thank you.
We will do our collection of tithes and offerings. We'll say the abundance blessing. Divine love, Lord, we breathe, bless and multiply Electronic giving at the front desk in the lobby is an option. Prayer chaplains are available for one-on-one confidential prayer. They'll move to the front of the sanctuary and be available when we end their service. Be sure to come next week for our church lunch and fellowship. Oh, never mind. Next, find us on YouTube and Facebook. There are some really great posts that you can like or love or comment on. It's good to be part of that. Are there any new visitors who might be willing to say hello? Hi. Would you like to stand up and introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Dallas. I just moved from Oregon about 2 weeks ago. I attended Unity there, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Can we please have a member of the welcome team give our visitor a card to fill out before they leave? Thank you for that. My name is Shanti, and I've been coming to Unity here for about 8 years. I just absolutely love the lessons that we get here. I love everything it stands for. I serve here as a prayer chaplain, a platform speaker, and I try to attend all the classes that we offer as many as I can. So that's me. Thank you. I'm really grateful to be here and be of service to you today. We have one more announcement, and it's here. So there is Shades of Praise is a New Orleans interracial gospel choir that Hortense and Lindia are members of. They're members here as well. And they are going to be playing today singing today at St. Charles Avenue Baptist Church at 2:30 p.m. That's on the corner of Broadway and St. Charles. So if you can make it out there, that would be wonderful to go support. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. Everyone is welcome. They're celebrating their 125th anniversary. That's at 2:30 p.m. today. And finally, we'll do our prayer, almost finally. We're going to do our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power